Hello everyone and welcome to yet another edition of New Reads. After three consecutive editions of novels, this time we are going to discuss a book of short stories, and I think it comes as a whiff of fresh air, at least for me, and all the more because it's a very lovely book of stories which I am holding in my hand. You can see the lovely packaging and the cover. It's called A Fistful of Mustard Seeds, and the author is E.Santhosh Kumar. So this book has been originally written in Malayalam over a period of 20 years, and it has been put together. There are 12 stories in this book, and these have been translated from Malayalam into English by P.N. Venugopal. Santhosh Kumar is a well-known author in Malayalam. He has done 15 books in the language, which includes short stories, novels, children's literature, and a translation. In fact, in 2006, he won the Kerala Sahitya Academy Award for his book of short stories, and again in 2012, he won the Kerala Sahitya Academy Award for his novel Andhakaranari, which has been translated again by P.N. Venugopal into English, and that English title is called The Island of Lost Shadows. It was published in 2015. As I mentioned, this book contains 12 short stories written over a period of 2 decades, and it represents the different phases in the life of a writer. But all through these different works, there is an underlying current, an undercurrent, which sort of unifies all these stories into one. The story I like best in this collection is called Another Summer. It tells a story of a man called Raghu who brings his wife to a city which he just calls B. It's a city they had been before in their younger days as a couple, and they are revisiting it because she has an ailment and she wants to see a prominent doctor. Now, they hire a room in a very cheap hotel because they want to save money. They have got some money in the bank, and the lady pushes the man to go out and venture into the city and to have a good time, because she knows that he will feel extremely boring sitting with her all through the day and through the night, and also because her ailment restricts their physical intimacy, and that is all the more reason why she's pushing him to go out and have a nice time in the outside world. He reluctantly does it, and he ends up in something that he was not intending to do. He ends up with some extortionists who take away all the money that he has in the bank. But in the meantime, in the process, as a very, very surprising element, he also encounters some, the innate goodness of certain people, and that is a big surprise element. This element of the story. Now, I keep all the surprise elements as intact as it is because I want you to read the book and read the story and enjoy all those to yourself. So that's a very interesting story. It's written in a very lucid manner. It has got a conversationalist kind of tone to it. In fact, the conversations that you find, especially in the latter part of the story, where he encounters a lady on the street who takes him to a pub and they have a nice time. The conversations there are extremely engaging and hilarious to a big extent. Now, all through the different stories of this book, you find that people land in certain circumstances of their own making. It shows their tremendous vulnerability, and then they try to come out of it. And often it is the other characters who sort of support them, just as you would see in life. So there are no heroes and heroines in these short stories. It's all, it has got the smell of ordinary life in it. In the story Hills Stars, you find a boy who decides to sabotage the tire of a car, lands up in a very, very piquant situation. He becomes extremely remorseful. But then he realizes towards the end of the story that, the driver of the car himself has been remorseful for certain other things that he has done. So that is again, left to you to find out what it is. But these are the kind of comparisons and connections that the writer brings, where the fate, the destiny of one character is intertwined to somebody else's, and they find a lot of similarities in themselves when they try to engage with each other. In the story Light Years, a young Kamala, who is also blind, gets into a situation where her lover tries to take advantage of her, but then she sort of finds it out and resists it and escapes from that situation very cleverly. So I think you find a lot of strong women characters in this book, rather than men. The writer also brings in recurring images, to capture the human predicament and the moral dilemma of the characters through certain images, like, for instance, blood when it comes to the story Another Summer, or the imagery of eggs when it comes to a story called The Perch, or the imagery of a blind fish, or a blinded fish when it comes to the story My Father is a Thief. The writer brings in recurring images to show the predicament of human life and the moral dilemma that characters go through certain imagery. For instance, eggs in the story called Perch, or the imagery of blood in the story called Another Summer, or it could be the blinded fish in the story My Father Was a Thief. Santhosh Kumar has a very easy flowing, lucid style, and as I said before, a very conversationalist kind of style to his writing, which becomes quite engaging. I mean, it's a very gripping. All the stories that you find here in this book are quite gripping. However, I wouldn't say that all the stories in this collection are great. Some of them are really good. That is all what I would like to say. And I think the translation has been quite good, quite on the mark. I mean, it keeps you quite engaged. I think the translator has done justice to the original version of the short stories, and I think that's the reason why this is quite an engaging read. In fact, the description on the flap of the book about the stories inside is quite apt for the book. It says, "A Fistful of Mustard Seeds explores moral dilemmas, personal traumas, and dwells into the dark recesses of the soul. These insightful and deeply moving stories illuminate the elevations and abysses of the human mind. Sensitive, thought-provoking, and perceptive, each story is a vignette into a different realm of emotional experience." The last story in this book is titled A Fistful of Mustard Seeds, and it is also the title of this collection. It tells the story of a woman who goes through extreme trauma because her son has gone missing, and she suspects that her lover is involved with this, with the disappearance of the child. Somebody advises her to visit a Guruji who runs a meditation center and tell him about this, and he would definitely help her. So she has come to him, but all he can tell her is what is the story that the Buddha is said to have told his disciples. When a woman who was grieving the death of her child came to the Buddha for solace and saying that he needs to offer some kind of a medicine which can revive the child. The Buddha says, "Yes, I can do it, but I need to prepare the concoction from mustard seeds, which you will have to go and collect from families where no death has occurred. So if you bring me those mustard seeds from those families, I will prepare this medicine and bring your child back to life. So this woman goes and searches for families where there are no deaths, and as is expected, she ends up finding no such home where there is no sorrow. However, this story in this collection has a different ending, and that is a slightly surprising ending, which I would rather say it's a more pleasant ending. I think I'll read some part from this short story called Another Summer, which is a very delightful story, as I said. So this is a scene where Raghu has ventured out from the hotel where he stays with his wife. He's all alone, and he's just seeing around the sights in the city. He's gaping at the hoardings of semi-clad women, and he's generally stunned by the vibrancy and dynamism of the city. And then this lady comes up to him, a young lady, a pretty lady, and this is what the conversation they have. "Your first time here?" she asked. No, Raghu did not elaborate. This was not the city he had seen on the first visit, he felt. Buildings, roads, vehicles and billboards, all have changed. Even people have changed. "Stand like this with your mouth agape on the street and someone will flick you away," she laughed. "Or at least pick your pocket." "I was waiting for the traffic signal to..." Raghu tried to explain. Then he gave up. Another row of girls passed by. "Where are you from in Kerala?" she inquired. He mentioned his native place. "Shall we go somewhere and sit down for some time?" she suggested. "Let's not wander about on this hot day. I'm free till the evening if you have time to spare." He looked at her. He felt he could see a sliver of naughtiness flashing on her face. She was wearing a small steel chain with a blue locket. The image on the locket was not clearly visible. She was behaving like an old friend, Raghu thought. But he still had his doubts. Where to sit, he thought. "We can go to a park," he suggested. But there is no such park nearby. Moreover, who will go to a park at this noon hour? She paused, looking straight at him. "Why not go to a pub?" "Pub? Why, master? Scared? A beer will cool you down." "Why? You don't drink beer?" "Once in a while, but..." "No buts. Go straight. Only few steps and there is a pub at the turning. There will not be any rush there." I must confess I haven't read the Malayalam version of these short stories, but I have been told they are extremely good. I am waiting to lay my hands on them sometime. Now it is time to sign off. I hope you will all enjoy reading this book. Have a good day.